Hello, Brad Phillips here with Puppy Steps Training, and today I've got Smokey with me in the crate. So this is going to be the filmed portion of his training demonstration. Everything that we cover today I will be working with you once we bring him down to Florida here in a few days. But I did want to film this just to give you an idea of what to expect, where Smokey's at, so that you can visually see it before we get there, and that way you'll also have some questions already drawn up in your mind that we can cover. So Smokey has went through our extended program, or the service prep program, which really means that everything that we teach all of our puppies, we've just taken that to a higher standard. We've also worked a lot more with public access, added a few things like loading in and out of the car, a higher expectation for our heel and our stays with different people, different distractions, public settings, and all of that, which Smokey has done great with. His training is phenomenal. He is so food driven and as well as super energetic that it's just made training him super fun. He loves to work. He loves to be invested and involved with everything that we've done. So he's doing phenomenal that way. The biggest thing with Smokey, though, is just that excited peeing. And with that excited peeing, as we get into the manners, there's a couple things that we're really going to have to do to help him settle and help him calm down so that that will continue to decrease, and which I'll talk about those when we get there. But the way that this video is going to go, we are going to start with those manners, then we'll go into the obedience commands, and then we will talk about the leash work. So the very first manner that we are going to talk about is Smokey's gates and his doorways. So we have taught him that any door that we're going through together or he's coming out of, so the crate, an exterior door, a gate outside, I expect him to hold an automatic stay. So I shouldn't have to tell him stay, he should just do it. Now, I don't care what position he's in, whether he's sitting, laying down, standing, that doesn't matter. What matters is that he's in control and he's paying attention to me, waiting to be released. I don't want him thinking that he can just bust through and go running off if he wants to. So with that, especially early on as you are building your relationship with Smokey, it is important to be prepared to follow through. If we have even the slightest thought that he might break, let's make sure that we're prepared to follow through. Whether that means having a leash on him when we go outside, or when we let him out of the crate, maybe opening that slowly and making sure that he's stable before we walk away. And then if he thinks that he can get away with it and he tries to run through a doorway, we have to tell him no. We have to go get him and do it again. If we don't, he's going to think, oh, if I'm fast enough, if I'm sneaky enough, if I excitedly pee, I can get through this threshold and I don't have to listen. So it is very important that we establish these expectations and that you build your relationship with Smokey the right way right off the bat. So the first 3 days, this is what we're focusing on, the manners. The doorways, the greeting, waiting for food, not chewing, not jumping, just being overall very polite. So I am going to let him out now. You're going to see me do this doorway with the crate. Then I will put a leash on him and we will go over to the bells. To be honest, a lot of times for us, the way that our setup is, our little potty area is fenced in. So if he's been in the crate for a few hours, I typically don't put the leash on first. I just get him to the bells and we go outside so that he doesn't pee as much on the floor. However, we were just outside, so I don't anticipate it should be very much. So I'm going to put this leash on him. We'll walk over. I'll show you him ringing the bells, and then you'll see this threshold, and we'll go outside. So first thing, when I open this crate, he should hold an automatic stay. Like I said, I shouldn't have to tell him anything, but if he did try and step out, I would just close this crate and tell him no. Okay. Good. So once he sits down, then I can hook this leash on, and then we'll walk over to the bells. Now I just typically stare at the bells and wait for him to touch them, and once he does, I'll say, okay, outside. Okay, outside, which we're to the point where I no longer give him a treat for this. However, for the first few days at your house, you are giving him a treat for ringing the bells. So now we're going to go outside. So once again, I don't care what position he's really in, whether he's standing, sitting, laying down. He just needs to show that he is under control and he is patiently waiting, which right now this is what he's doing. Okay, and then we're able to come out. Same expectation for coming in. I just expect that he's patiently waiting. He's showing some impulse control, and he's just waiting for me to release him. Okay, good boy. So that's our doorways. So now we're going to talk about Smokey's greeting. So anytime I call Smokey over, I expect him to sit in order to get my attention. So this is a replacement behavior for jumping or pawing or nipping, any of that, which Smokey, the impulse control and just being calm and in control has been a big thing that we have focused on. Okay, this is the behavior I want. I want him to relax. I want him to settle. So these are the things that I want to reward, which is a big part of the greeting. Good boy. I also just want to make sure that you don't ignore these behaviors, especially early on. Okay, so the greeting exercise is actually the first thing that I'm going to have you do. And it's super simple. Once again, I'll do this with you and work on it one-on-one. But all I do is I take some treats, I take my leash, I say his name, take a few steps back, and I wait for him to sit. Once he sits, I tell him okay, and I give him that treat. I do this 3 times, right in a row. And I'm going to do that multiple times a day for really the first, 3 to 5 days. So we really want to ingrain this, hey, be calm, be polite, and you'll get rewarded. So this exercise and this behavior really wraps up a lot of what we've heavily focused on with Smokey, because he is very excited and he loves food so much that sometimes he can't contain himself and he gets a little bit out of control. Sometimes he can have a hard mouth, or he wants to jump, or he gets a little bit impatient. So we've really tried to focus on this. So if he jumps, I'm going to tell him no off, and I'm going to stick my knee into him. So I'm not extending, we're not kicking him. It's just I'm taking up his space and I'm telling him off. He gets no positive rewards for jumping up on me. If he rears up for that treat at all when I'm going to present it, I quickly take it away and tell him no. If he gets a little bit too excited with his teeth, I will take it away and I will tell him gently, and I expect him to be very soft. So all of these behaviors are wrapped up into our greeting. So just to show you that exercise, so I'm going to take a couple treats here and break them up, and I will just say, Smokey. I take a few steps back. Once he sits, good. Okay. I make sure that he's in control, and then I tell him okay. So I'm going to walk this way a little bit. Smokey. Back up. Good. Okay. So notice I'm using good to mark that he's doing the right thing, and then once I know that he's settled, I'll say okay. Smokey. Notice how when I back up, he follows me, right? So if I step into him, he'll back up, right? So that's how, if he's crowding me too much, if he's trying to jump, I can step into him and restrict that space. That's also a great way to help him remember his manners. Good. Gently. Gently. Good boy. So we've spent a ton of time on that because, man, the first 6 weeks, you just thought this was a land shark. I mean, he would take your hand off just trying to get treats. He loves food. Like I said, that's what's made him so fun to train, because he's very food motivated. However, we still need some control. So this exercise, both of you are going to do, and you're going to do it a few times a day for the next few days. Now, with strangers, because of the service prep, we've incorporated the same kind of expectation, but still with strangers, I don't want Smokey thinking he needs to meet every new person. In fact, I really want him to ignore most people. So you are going to have people when you're out say, oh my gosh, he's so good looking, can I pet him? Which 95% of the time, I tell people no. And the polite way to do that is just say, no, he's still in training, and we move to the side and I work on engagement, which I'll cover in just a little bit. And engagement is very similar to that greeting exercise. But maybe 5% of the time you're okay with it. Maybe you know the person, or if you're like me who has little kids, I let the little kids pet the dogs as long as the dog can be in control. So that 5% of the time, I just make sure that Smokey's in control and being polite, and then they can meet him. So when I do that, Smokey, come here. So if somebody was approaching me and I was going to let them say hi, we would walk up, I would stop, have Smokey sit for me, and I would say, yes, this is Smokey. He's super friendly. He loves people, but he needs to be in control. If he gets out of control, we can't pet him. Hey, nope. So when I stop, I really want to be, 3 to 6 feet away from them, so that way there is this good separation that if Smokey tried to pull, I could give him that correction. I would say no and pop the leash twice. As well as when I invite these people up, if he gets too excited, we can walk away. So I want to be prepared to follow through and help him with being polite. If he lays down and he's being a good boy, they can pet him, they can love on him as long as he's being good. But the big reason why I don't like people to greet my dog, especially if we're on leash, is people don't respect your rules. They don't respect all the time and the money that's went into this dog. And so he might start jumping and they're like, oh no, it's okay, I love dogs. Or he starts pulling and they get in the way and you can't correct him and now he just got away with pulling. And then Smokey learns, oh, with strangers, I don't have to listen, which is what we absolutely don't want. So if he did get out of control, he tried to jump, he tried to mouth, he tried to pull, I would quickly tell him no, and I would walk away. So there's always going to be an amount of distance that we can get to help Smokey reset. And I like little resets or little check-ins where he sits down, he shows that he's being in control, and then we can try again. But if he can't handle it, then we can't have people meet him. Okay? We've spent a lot of time on allowing people to come up and see him, keeping his focus on me, and making sure that he's not jumping up. But that was definitely Smokey's go-to. And so be prepared, especially early on as he's trying to figure out your rules, to follow through with these behaviors. Oh, good boy. So once again, if he jumps up, I'm going to put my knee into him and back him up. If he tries to jump up on the couch or on a counter or on anything else, I'll tell him no, off, and a lot of times I clap just to drive that point home. He doesn't get to jump up on anyone or anything. He needs to be gentle. If he seems to be too excited with his teeth, just take that away, tell him gently, and he knows how to gently take it with those front teeth. So I'll show you again. I'll get a small piece gently, and if he gets too, good. Gently. Good. If he just gets a little too excited, I can say or no and expect him to be soft. Good boy. Good boy. So going along with this, handling. Handling early on was a little bit of a struggle just because of the excited peeing. But we do spend a great deal of time on handling. So we've handled his paws. I mean, he's had his nails clipped multiple times. Good boy. Which, if he's trying to pull away, I might take a step back. I want him to be comfortable, and I don't want him thinking he can throw a temper tantrum to get away. But if he seems really uncomfortable, I might stop clipping, hold it. Oh, good. Once he's calm, good. Then we can go back to clipping. Good. And any time that I put him through a really uncomfortable situation, good, I'm going to pay him out. So we've handled his ears. His face, like grooming his face, has been probably the hardest out of the grooming. Like, he's fine with me brushing him, being pet. Oh, good boy, he loves being pet. You just gotta watch out, huh? He peed on my shoes more than once. But his face is one that we're working on daily. So I will take his collar, hold his face. Oh, good boy. Just to make sure that he's comfortable with that, because he's gonna have to get groomed. We've had clippers around him, just spent a lot of time handling him, putting him in weird situations, taking him to the vet, had the vet kind of check him out, do a full exam. Just need to make sure that he's comfortable. He's not going to throw a big temper tantrum just because you're handling him. Good boy. Good boy. Which, with that, come here, his teeth, nope. Like I said, his muzzle is his least favorite. Good. So he's almost through this teething phase. He's got a couple more to lose, but we're about that. No. See, now he's all amped up. Good. So we're about through with the heavy teething, but if he starts, chewing on something he's not supposed to, we do want to correct him and then redirect him. So I would tell him no, and then give him something he's allowed to chew on. Good boy. Help him understand what he can and can't chew on, which, because he's so food motivated, sometimes he doesn't care about his toys. Okay, good boy. You can see he's like, no, just give me treats, which we might have to pull out a bully stick if he won't hold on to anything. If you just pull out the toy before you haven't given him any treats, he'll play a little bit, but where I've been giving him treats, he's not going to do much with that. Come here. But we've spent time handling him while he has, stuff of his own, toys, treats, bully sticks. Drop it. No. So there, he was kind of pushing. Okay. We're going to try this again. Smokey, drop it. Good boy, good boy. Okay, I'll give it to you for a second. Oh, now you won't chew on it because I let go of it? So the drop it command, very simple. I just tell him, Smokey, drop it, and I expect him to let go of it. With something like this, a bully stick's usually pretty high value, so a lot of times I'll give it back. If I'm taking something away, like he picks up some garbage or has something he that's gross or even edible, I'll give him a treat. When I do it with a toy, he just gets the toy back. So I never want to mix treats with toys, because otherwise, just like that, how he was just like, I don't want the toy, that will happen more often. And so I never give him a treat for letting go of a toy or dropping a toy. Here we go. Smokey, drop it. Good boy. Good boy. And he should drop it, allow me to take it, and then I can give it back to him. Okay, good boy. Yeah? Okay. What? Mealtime manners. So anytime we feed Smokey, I expect him to hold an automatic sit-stay. I shake that bowl, he plants. I will set the bowl on the ground and stand completely up. No, so that's a break. Good. Okay, good boy. So I expect him to be very polite and patient. I don't typically take his food away. I just let him eat. We have been using a slow feeder because he loves his food so much. But I just want to show you that again, especially where he broke that first time. Good distract. No. Good distraction, picking up some dog food on the ground, throwing it. Okay, good boy, good boy. That, and he already has eaten one meal today, and he's going to get dinner here in a second. Notice though, I don't want him being like aggressive towards me. Once again, I don't make a habit of taking his food bowl away because that would drive me crazy. I'm sitting at a restaurant and somebody comes and just takes your plate while you're still eating. But I do want to make sure that he's going to be comfortable with me being around. So sometimes I'll even throw treats in just to make it a positive experience. But he loves his food. So, okay. So those are his manners. Now we're going to hop into his obedience commands. So the first command I'm going to show you is his place command, which this is my absolute favorite command. I think it just has so many practical applications, and it's one that the dogs love, and we can get kind of some impressive stays with it. So with place, come here. I'm going to guide him off of this because I didn't send him. So I will just tell him, Smokey, place. All four paws go on the bed, and then he does get the treat for going on. And I usually tell him, good boy. So good's telling him he's doing the right thing, but he is expected to continue. So right now he will do, he'll do 5 minutes on place, no problem. Now the more I push him, so longer duration, distance, distraction, adding those 3 Ds, the more I'll reinforce. Now, if it's just me and him in here and we're just hanging out, I'm not going to reinforce him near as often as I would if like my kids were here and it was chaotic, or if I had other dogs out, or maybe even a cat. But if the higher level of distraction that I have, the more I will reinforce. And so when I reinforce it, I just tell him, oh, good boy, and I'll give him a treat. Now, so practical applications here. I've taught my dogs that when somebody comes to the door, their job is to go to their place. Now, that's something that you're going to have to practice with and build up with Smokey. Or, maybe you're bringing in groceries, you just need him out of the way, send him to his place, and know that he can hold this stay. Now, we're going to tempt him here. So one of the harder distractions is always just leaving the room. I'm going to leave out this door, go back outside. We've got some little puppies here that are going to bark, and then I'll knock on the door, and we'll just see what happens. The other thing that I will say is the more that he relaxes, the more that I will reinforce as well. So when he lays down, I like to come up and tell him, good boy, because I want this to be more of a calming command. Good. Good. So now I'm going to go out another door, further away from him. Leave him for a little bit longer. Knocking. Oh, what a good dog. Praise him a little bit. See if he breaks, but good. Obviously he's excited for the treat, but he's good. A little different distraction, maybe some loud noises. So he's really good. Okay, good boy. And okay releases him. He doesn't get a treat when he comes off. Place. Now, with place, we've also been building this up to be a universal command. So I can send him to anything with a defined boundary. It doesn't have to be one of these elevated beds. Something that I don't think that we've done is a blanket. We've done towels and rugs and electrical boxes and all sorts of stuff. But let's set this one out. Anything flat is always a nice challenge, especially when they move. Okay, good. Place. Nope, Smokey. Place. So here, might have to help him. Good. Find the boundary where it's all bundled up now. So if he were to step off, I would just simply tell him no and send him back on. Anytime I use a new place, I want to do maybe a quick rep and then send him back on. Okay, good boy. Place. I know, it's hard with the bed right there, huh? Smokey. Place. Good. Nope, gently. Good. Here, we'll make it. Okay, good boy. Good boy. So I love place. It's one of my favorites. Smokey does a great job. Like I said, he'll stay for 5 minutes pretty easily. I think with like no distractions when we're just doing some dishes. He's even done close to 10 minutes. So doing phenomenal with that one. Very similar would be his crate command. Smokey, crate. As I just have to point, he goes in. Give him the reward when he's in there and turned around, and he's expected to stay. Okay, good boy. Crate. So this one, we can get a little bit more distance Okay, the crate's usually going to be in a specific area where place might move. So if that's the case, you can get a little bit more distance with crate, and if you practice, you could send him anywhere in the house. Crate. Here he's focusing on the treat hand. A little confused. So there he's confused. I'll step closer. Good. And help him. Okay, let's try that again. Smokey, crate. You're kind of just all over the place today, huh? Good. Have to help him out more, which in his, defense, usually his crate's over here in this other corner, so it has moved. Crate. Good. Okay, so now we have sit, down, and stay, and those ones have distinct hand signals. Smokey, down. Good. Stay. A little bit slow there. He's kind of fixating on the hand that I usually hold the treat in, because I typically don't have it in the hand that I'm doing hand signals with. So I think I'm just starting to lose some focus there with him, so I might have to help him succeed. So I wasn't going to repeat that command, I just got a little bit lower. Now with these stays, so with all these commands, with the service prep program, like I said, higher levels of distractions, higher levels of obedience. So typically, my puppies that leave this program, our stays are around 20 seconds. It's kind of the average, I would say. So with the service prep, I usually like to see them do at least 30, maybe 40. Smokey's doing a couple minutes. He's doing fantastic. And we add harder distractions. So walking close by them, and especially directly behind them, that's kind of a big one to overcome. So we want to make sure that they have that down, having me kind of ignore them. One of the other harder ones that we've added for Smokey is being able to come up and give him the treat and have him stay in that stay. Because a lot of times the dogs think, oh, I got the reward, I should be done, and then they try and break. Which I can also throw treats on the ground. I don't think that you even saw that one, dude. That one you did. Okay, good boy. Maybe you didn't. So these ones, he gets the treat at the end. Where you didn't see those, I'm gonna pick them up. We also have both a sit and a down stay. Smokey, sit, stay. So I'm okay if Smokey lays down now. After a few seconds, if he settles in, I'm okay with that because it's more of a stable command if he's laying down, or a stable stay, I should say. But I want both abilities here. Now, if he's in a down stay, he's not allowed to come up even into a sit. One of the other things that I've worked on here, which is coming up, kind of lift it up, is petting, stay, is petting him. This is a hard one. And having him remain in that stay. I've also been practicing having my kids come up and pet him and having him in that stay. Which all of this, for Smokey's age, is honestly really, really impressive. He looks like a giant dog right now, but I think he's only 5 months old. He might be getting close to, I think he's only 5 months old. So he's doing fantastic, and we don't want to end here. We don't want to settle with this. We always want higher expectations. We always want to higher our expectations. Words are hard sometimes. So, okay, good boy. Gently. Good. Love it. Boy. Okay. So the next one I want to cover would be our leave it command. So leave it means, don't sniff it, don't touch it. We practice this a lot outside because Smokey loves to find everything on the road. Oh, buddy. Always looking for good stuff to eat. So we practice a lot on the road. We also like to set him up and use food and dishes and stuff, garbage, in here in the training room. Anytime that I set him up and I'm using food, I want to be prepared to follow through so that we can always help him progress. So what I'm going to do in order to set him up, come here, sit, stay. So we're going to put him in a stay here and pretend, oh no, I just spilled that canister of treats, which we'll even put a few more. So like I said, I want to be prepared to follow through here. I don't think that I'm going to need it, but I am going to pick up his leash right now. This is a good temptation. And if he just full-fledged went for it, I would tell him no and pop that leash. But I am pretty sure once I release him and tell him to leave it, he's just going to walk away. So, okay, good boy. And I'm going to reward him for the stay. No, you're being a little testy. So here I'm going to come over here and tell him, Smokey, leave it. Good. So now, notice how he's kind of taking a wide berth. And the hardest part here is if my hands are down here, because my hands give him treats. Leave it. Good. So leave it means that it's forever forbidden. I'm not going to release him and let him eat any of that because I don't want him thinking, well, if I just wait long enough, I can have it, because what happens if it's something that could be dangerous? So I should be able to say, Smokey, and he should walk away from it. Good boy. Even though these are treats that he's used to eating. Notice today he's like almost like hyper fixated on these treats, like he is ready to rock and roll, which, I mean, the only thing that's really been done is you've had some outside time and he's just ready to train. He loves his food so much that he is heavily invested. Don't do it. And notice how he's not trying to push in there. Once again, even though these are treats that he is used to eating, he has to leave them alone. Good boy. Now, if we were on a walk, see, you are really testing that one. Gently. Good, good. Which, like I said, he's only 5.5 months old. Young puppy, he's going to test boundaries. He's not perfect. But this also gives me something that we're going to really focus on. And being that today is Tuesday for the next week, just to make sure that these behaviors don't become an issue. Because we were past this, and now you're starting to rear up again. Which, part of owning a dog, right? So now, we're going to kind of change the camera around and do his leash work. I was thinking about going outside, but it is a little bit sunny, so the shadow or the lighting might not be so great. But with our leash work, I want to talk about our heel, our long lead walk, engagement, as well as our recall command. So let me switch some stuff around and we'll go to that point. Heel. So we're going to talk about his heel right now. So expectations with the heel. He's on my left side, keeping pace with me, keeping his focus on me. So heel, out of everything, will be the one that kind of takes the longest to transition over, which we've done a lot with, and he is fantastic with his heel. We've done this a lot in a lot of different public settings. However, it is very relationship based. He needs to trust that you're going to take care of him. Good. Especially because when we use the heel, it's usually because we're passing distractions, we're going through businesses, we're out in public, and so he's got to ignore the stuff going on around. And so if he's expected to ignore distractions, we got to be pretty distracting ourselves. So we need to give him a lot of feedback. We need to tell him when he's doing good, when he's not. Heel. And so when I heel with him, especially when we're out in public, I'm like, oh, that's a good boy. Good dog. And I'm giving him just a lot of feedback. If he gets a little bit distracted, tries to pull towards something, I just simply tell him, no. Good. Lots of feedback. Heel. And I expect him to really match my movements on this behavior. So if I slow down, I expect him to slow down. If I speed up, I expect him to speed up. Good. And when I stop, he should stop. And if he doesn't sit, then I'm going to ask for it. So a lot of feedback. Notice that this is a very short leash and I only give him maybe 18 inches of space. So I want clear and quick feedback on the heel, which I am going to try and mix in some stuff outside. Like I said, it was very sunny out there and we had a lot of background noise. However, I'm going to mix some of that in with this so you can see maybe outside in the grass and some different environments. A lot of times our heel is done on the road or we're on a sidewalk. Not very often do we just come and heel in the grass around the facility, but this is good practice. Notice how he's pushing. Good boy. He's focused on me. If I stop, he stops, which I'm gonna have him sit. Good, heel. But he's focused. Good boy. Boy. Good. So he's not allowed to pull. Doesn't matter the length of the leash, he is not allowed to pull. So if we were on this walk, maybe he just got a little bit distracted. Not quite pulling yet, but definitely putting a little tension in the leash. I'm just going to say his name, maybe some kissy noises just to get his attention. So like, hey, something like that, get him to look at me. If he actually started to pull, then I'm going to correct him. So I would say no, and I would pop this leash. Now my pops are up, and I try and do two. Sometimes if you're in the heat of the moment and you just pop it once, that's fine. A correction in itself is good enough, no matter what comes out of your mouth or what you do. So even if that's just one quick correction. But I try and go, no, pop, pop. So quick. If he regains his attention, he looks at me, I'll take a few steps, reward him for that. But if he goes back to pulling, or even if that doesn't faze him at all and he keeps pulling, I will do that correction one more time. So it's no, pop, pop. Then I get a little bit more firm the second time, no, pop, pop. If that works, great. We can tell him good job and we can keep walking. If it doesn't work, now I'm going to come to a complete stop. I am no longer progressing towards any type of distraction if he is pulling. And this is where I evaluate. It's like, okay, are we just a little bit distracted? Can I work on this? Can I even keep healing? Or are you becoming reactive? So if I think that he's just a little bit distracted, once again, I'll try and heal one more time. But if he decides that he's going to start pulling again, I'm going to take the next minute to work on this. So the way that I work on it is I will either do corrective U-turns, which is basically him walking, he gets out in front of me and I quickly just turn away from him and give him a quick pop. So it's kind of like this, it's just quick. So he doesn't quite know what's going on. I stop and walk away. So that's a corrective U-turn. But if he's still like kind of halfway there, kind of pulling, then I do kind of sporadic walking. So I'm going to step through him instead, and we're just going to keep switching directions. Sometimes I'll stop, and then I'll go again. And so this forces him to pay attention to me in order to know which direction we're going. So that's just if he's a little bit distracted. If he becomes reactive, so he's like really wanting to pull towards maybe another dog, or he's barking, or he's fearful and he wants to get away from something. When he becomes reactive, I want to engage with him and work on building confidence, not trying to heal past it. Because obviously the goal is to be able to pass distractions, but if the distraction's too hard, I would rather step to the side and engage with him and help build confidence and reward calm behavior than forcing him and having him kind of shut down. So if he becomes reactive, immediately I'm going to get some distance. Whether that's 5 feet off the trail or whether that's 50 feet going the other direction. I'll always step through him to make sure the distraction's at my back. So if he was kind of barking, getting reactive towards the camera, I would immediately step through him, back him away, get some distance, and now I'm going to put my back towards the distraction, and I will reward him for simple victories. Oh, you're no longer barking? Good boy. You're sitting? Good dog. You're looking at me? Good boy. And as he continues to be in control, then we can open up and we can watch this distraction, maybe get a little bit closer. But if he starts losing it, I'll cut him off. Body language is telling him, don't worry about it. Rewarding simple victories. As we're calm, we can open up and look at that distraction and watch it go by. I like to observe without interacting with distractions. I like to build confidence this way. We do what we call is just the art of doing nothing. And that's, we'll go find a place where we can watch the world go by. So a park bench, we'll just sit, watch people walk past. Oh, you're calm? Good boy. Good dog. I'll reward you for being calm. You're sitting, you're not reacting. Good dog. As much as I can, I always put him on the opposite side as the distraction, which I like him on my left side, so I always try and have the distraction on my right, so that way it's very easy to step in and intervene. Smokey, at this point, is not a reactive dog. He is so invested in you that he doesn't care what's going on. We've sat in the park and had people walk past with pizza and tacos and strollers and bicycles and other dogs, and he doesn't care. He's just like, what are you doing? That's what I want to be doing. So he's doing great with that, but that doesn't mean in the next day or two he doesn't, or the next few days when he's at home, he doesn't show a little bit of reactivity. So I'd be prepared to engage with him, help him build confidence, so that he doesn't have an issue with reactivity. Okay, so that's the heel, what to do if he pulls, what to do if he becomes reactive. Now I want to talk about our long lead walk, off leash, and recall. So like I said, the heel is for you. That's not how we exercise him. Here we have a lot of open space, so we spend a lot of time off leash and we practice his recall off leash. But we started with a long lead. So this is my preferred method of exercising Smokey. Where'd that go? There we go. Is we just go on a long lead walk. And this one I am going to show some outside clips because it's easier to get some space than in here. So this is a 15-foot long lead. Great length for neighborhoods or somewhere where, we still want him to exercise and run around and maybe check things out, but still need some control. So it's really easy to get him back to me with 15 feet. So I get used to stepping over the leash, switching hands, letting him smell the roses. Like I let him go at his pace. Smokey, come. Good boy. But he's still not allowed to pull. And anytime he gets to the end of the leash, I call him to come. So the come command is our recall command, and that is your most important command. It can be a life-saving command, and we've spent a ton of time working on this with Smokey. We want to start out on this long lead and get a lot of reps just to build that relationship and build that expectation. So when I call him, I say his name. There's always a brief pause, and then I say the actual command. The reason I like to have a pause is because if he's just focusing on something else, I may say his name one more time. I want him to hear me before I give that command. So it's, Smokey, come. Good boy. Okay. Notice I say good or good boy right when he initiates the action of coming to me, and then okay when he's done, when he gets to me and he's released. So the nice thing is with the long lead is if he ever ignores me, I can reel him in, and it does not take much. I wonder if I can get him to sit down again. And so if I had called him and he ignored me, all I have to do, I know you guessed it, huh? I just have to say no and give him a little pressure. It does not take much pressure for him to come back to me, which I can usually get him to come back with some little reverse psychology, just, oh, good boy, good boy, good boy, something like that. And he's very apt to come back to me. If he's off leash, I have to go and get him. I am never going to call him if I am not prepared to go and get him. So I have to follow through. And if I got, 75% of the way there and he decided to come to me that last 25%, I will reward that. I'm not going to call him to reprimand him. But if I had to get 100% of the way there, then I might tell him no, take his collar or hook a leash on him, and I would say, Smokey, come, and I would have him follow me, which I'll show you that outside. So now for our long lead walk, I give him all this space so he can check things out, he can run, he can just be a dog. And that's a great way to exercise him, burn off some extra energy, some of the mental buildup. And I'll just practice his recall while we do this. Which Smokey a lot of times hangs out right here close to me anyway, because he is so food motivated. We'll see if we can get him to give us a little distance. Otherwise, I'll just let him off leash. We're gonna pee. Yeah, he's not gonna give me any space right now because we just did that heel. All right, well, let's go. If I can get it. Your ear's in the way. There we go. Let's go off leash, give you a little bit more space. So once again, if he's off leash and I call him, I have to go and get him. Let's see if we can't. There you go. Here. Oh, in the grass. He just stays too close, which is definitely not a bad thing. You're just too motivated by food. There we go. Sit. Down. Hey. Stay. Seems how he won't get far enough away from me to do a recall. We'll just do a very long stay with other dogs barking at him. Okay, good boy. Good boy, Smokey. Smokey's great. He's doing a wonderful job. Obviously, like I said, he's not perfect. He is just super motivated to work. And some of that is to a fault where we get too excited with the food. That's where our big focus has been lately. He's great with loading in and out of my car, which all of that we will show you when we come down to Florida. So as you watch this, if you have any questions, please let me know. But I look forward to meeting you and bringing Smokey to you. Thanks.